Xavier Woods is fine, right? Right? Hello, my name is Jules E. Abril, and welcome to my new solo show, Guerrilla Position. The following will be a collection of essays detailing and dissecting my favorite aspects of professional wrestling. The opinions expressed in this show are mine and mine alone. For example, I think that Sami Callihan is a terrible wrestler and should never be allowed near a ring again. But let's backtrack a little bit. Like I was saying before, Xavier Woods is fine. I hope. In case you missed WWE Fastlane, the show was surprisingly awesome. WWE delivered a stacked card of action with a collection of stupid standout matches that absolutely stole the show from each other throughout the night. Creative might have taken the month off, but they came back with a vengeance. With the exception of the main event and Charlotte vs. Ruby Riott, not one of these matches had a shred of compelling build-up to them, and yet they all delivered. This is not a review of the show, or any match in particular though. We're here to talk about Xavier Woods. Let me rephrase what I said. I'm like 90% sure that Austin Watson is fine. Xavier Woods is fucked. The match between the Usos and the New Day was interrupted by the the Bludgeoned brothers, and they did the absolute best 3-minute warning tribute I've ever seen somebody do. The entire beatdown was punctuated by a brutal-looking double powerbomb on Xavier Woods on these steps, which led to EMTs coming out and carting out a convulsing Xavier in a stretcher. The announcers played up the fact that Xavier was injured severely with spinal contusions. Now, the Bludgeon Brothers are going to be going to WrestleMania, presumably to feud with the Usos and the living members of the New Day. People are comparing this angle to the Sami Callihan bullshit from a couple weeks ago, and I'm here to put an end to that. Like I said, Xavier Woods, the character, might be 7 shades of fucked up, but Austin Watson, the man, is just fine. I cannot wait for Woods' partners and best friends to get their hands on the dastardly cave people that basically, pun intended, bludgeon their best friend. That is, in essence, the way that wrestling should work. There is absolutely nothing wrong with tricking the audience into thinking that Woods is injured. Wrestling is at its best when the lines are blurred and the audience isn't sure what they're seeing is real or not. That's not what happened over at TNA or Global Impact Anthem Force or whatever the fuck that zombie of a corpse of a promotion is called. Sami Callihan is a careless piece of shit, and Eddie Edwards is sitting at home with severe injuries that prevent him from earning a living in a real professional wrestling company because of him. That's not kayfabe, that's reality. The way that this spot was set up, Sami Callihan should have called it off. For those of you smart enough to avoid Impact, even when they try to murder their fucking roster to pop their abysmal ratings, here's the clip.
Eddie Edwards got the no.
No.
What the? What the? Oh my God!
Oh my!
What the fuck, right? Any intelligent human being, let alone a trained professional wrestler, should be able to tell you that plastic chair is not going to hold up. Never mind the fact that Eddie has to hold it in place because the chair is not big enough to touch the ground with Eddie under it. Never mind the fact that the spot looks like some stupid Wile E. Coyote contraption that makes absolutely zero sense within the context of a kayfabe wrestling match. Never mind the fact that if you just flip the chair over, you can have the same exact stupid looking spot, but execute it safely. The point is that before Sami Callihan swung the baseball bat into the face of one of the best technical wrestlers on the planet, he should have known that the chair was not going to hold up. Sami Callihan is a dangerous worker and should not be allowed near a wrestling ring ever again. But this isn't some bitter, smarky character assassination of a wrestler most people only know as that failed NXT hacker with the bald spot. This essentially is about something else. I'm here to bring context to both incidents and dissect why it is that people are comparing the two and what that says about the state of the wrestling industry. But for that, we gotta go through a third guy, the gray area, Matt Jackson. So Nick Jackson recently revealed that Matt has been working with a painful, nagging back injury. Now, I don't know whether or not that's a real life back injury, but it absolutely makes every single one of the Young Bucks matches have a bigger stake every single time that Matt gets anywhere near taking a back bump. If he's actually working through an injury, he is a badass and he should probably take some time off. If he's not, he's a beast at selling, because I can't watch Young Buck matches without being on the edge of my seat, concerned as all hell about Matt's well-being. Either way, that is craftsmanship and a jaw-dropping commitment to the sport. Sami Callihan keeping kayfabe after almost purposely, if not criminally unwittingly, putting one of the best wrestlers in the world on the shelf is not. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, Sami took to TMZ Sports to describe the incident and healed it the fuck up to no end. The problem is, having seen the spot and having seen the carelessness that led to the spot, the whole promo did not make me pine for Eddie Edwards to come back to the ring and get his payback on the balding hacker. It made me wish Eddie would get signed by a real wrestling company that won't put his life on the line like that ever again. But why are people comparing the Xavier Woods beatdown to the Eddie Edwards injury if one is real and the other one is not? It's the way that both companies have been treating their respective storylines. Both of them are being treated as legitimate, and the people responsible for them as remorseless bastards. The difference being that we know that Eddie is injured, and we know how preventable the whole thing could have been. The problem here is something that probably makes me sound like an old fart, but it's a real thing in wrestling. It's the law of diminishing returns. Once you tune in and watch someone get whacked in the face with a baseball bat for real, nothing else in that show will look as brutal or as important. That is a former Global Honor Crown title holder being waylaid with a baseball bat for real. 2 weeks from now, when, knowing TNA, two guys are feuding over a Tinder date gone wrong, or whatever dumbass idea they come up with, why would anyone give a fuck? Fastlane managed to follow up on the dismantling of the New Day with one of the best title defenses of Charlotte's reign. In one of the most interesting storylines Charlotte's been a part of since moving to SmackDown, culminating with the announcement of, at the very least, a tease of a veritable dream match in Charlotte versus Asuka. The entirety of the pay-per-view and its importance was elevated because of the Xavier Woods spot. It's not something you just watch on Google or YouTube and cringe and then move on like the Callahan spot. That's where we come in. At what point do we as fans begin to get in the way of our own enjoyment of the sport with our incessant need to know whether or not the things happening on the TV are real or not? Should I be this angry at Sami Callihan when injuries happen in the ring all the time? Does that say something about us as fans, that we're maybe too obsessed with the creative process of the show that we can't step back and just enjoy the stupid thing? I don't have the answers to these questions. I only know that I want Eddie Edwards to be okay, and if he'd been in the ring with a better worker, he would be. I also know that I absolutely lost my shit when the Bludgeoned brothers ran down and dismantled everyone in the ring. Just like I jump out of my seat when the mixture of concern and excitement every single time Matt Jackson sells a back bump. Maybe we're part of the problem. My name is Jules, and this has been Guerrilla Position.